Good morning to each and every one. We'll turn it over now to our city clerk.
This is the pre-meeting of the Mobile City Council, Tuesday, August 10th. We have approval of minutes from July 27th and August 3rd.
Good job.
Appeals, we have requests for a waiver of the noise ordinance on September 26th from 3 p.m. until 5 p.m. in Cathedral Square. October 23rd from 10 a.m. until 2 p.m. and this is in Cooper Riverside Park. October 1st and 2nd from 6 p.m. until 2 a.m. and this is on LeSure Road. Public hearings, today is a public hearing to consider a right-of-way fee for vacation of an alley located between North Washington Avenue and North Dearborn Street. Public hearing to consider the vacation of an alley located between North Washington Avenue and North Dearborn Street.
Is this the same thing, or is it
No,
two?
one is the fee for the vacation and one is,
Setting
oh,
the fee.
it's the same?
Same property.
Oh, same
Yeah,
property,
same,
yeah.
okay, thank you.
Presentation of petitions and other communications to the council. We have Darlene Martin regarding the work done in the campground, congratulating the mayor. Michelle,
Regarding what again, Madam City Clerk?
Darlene Martin, she wants to congratulate the mayor for work doing at the campground.
Great.
Michelle Strother, regarding erosion on her property caused by a ditch. Greg Foster, regarding police and firefighters, raise or bonus for the retirees. Gregory Dennis, regarding Hillsdale Heights, streets illegally barricade, weeds and trees growing in the streets, sinkholes in the streets. Reggie Hill, regarding ARP, the city's budget and the impact of improper checks and balances within municipal government. Timothy Hollis, regarding pay bonuses for public library workers, Wave Transit. Yeah, and also question why are public works employees not allowed to receive overtime for City of Mobile business, but we're allowed to receive it for trash pickup in Pritchard. Also, we'll have Dr. Aisho present to give an update on COVID. Do you all want him to go earlier?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Consent resolutions held over. 40465, declare the structure at 56 South Lafayette Street a public nuisance and order it demolished. 37550, recommend approval to the ABC Board for issuance of a lounge retail liquor Class 1 license for Canary Bar on North Jackson Street. Mr. Manzi, this one has not received Planning Commission approval. It's been laid over until September the 2nd.
I'm comfortable laying it over as well.
Oh, okay. All right, I just wanted you to know.
Until the week after that date would be fine for me.
What's that date?
So that would be September 7th will be our next meeting.
That'd be fine.
What's the status with 56 South Lafayette Street? Because that's a return to us. Thank you.
Good morning.
Morning.
56 South Lafayette Street. The last time it was here before City Council,
municipal enforcement requested that it be held over 30 days to allow for the property owner to go before the ARB. Their intention was to seek approval for demolition on behalf of the property owner. Regretfully, they did not make the meeting. So they missed the ARB meeting due to health reasons. That has been rescheduled. Municipal enforcement, our position is, since we have a limited time frame for council to take action, which is 120 days from when we send out the certified notices to the property owner, that since we do not have an active building permit with active construction to repair the house or demolish it, that municipal enforcement's position is to move forward, requesting council to declare this a public nuisance, ordering the demolition, which, again, the property owner has 10 days to appeal through the natural process, and it looks like it will be about 30 to 60 days before the city municipal enforcement is in position to seek quotes for demolition contractors, which will allow the property owner to complete that process, and if they do get approval to demolish from the property owner's perspective, we can step back and allow them to do so. So pretty much what I'm saying is if we could go forward, declare this a public nuisance, and then we can follow through with the ARB process, and if that does not materialize, we're in a position to move forward with the demolition of the structure.
I totally agree with that plan of action. The residents on this particular
Thank you.
section of South Lafayette Street are up in arms about this property and the detraction that it is to their community. And we've given opportunity after opportunity, and I'm hopeful that the property owner, after all those health issues are handled, will do what they need to do in order to either demolish or save this property. But I hope we'll move forward affirmatively today in declaring it a public nuisance and ordering it demolished.
CIP resolutions held over. 21612, authorized contract with geotechnical engineering testing for 2020 PAYGO and 2021 CIP resurfacing citywide. 21613, authorized contract with Jose Weaver Construction for 2020 PAYGO and 2021 CIP resurfacing citywide. Resolutions held over. 31567, adopt the U.S. Treasury ARP action plan.
Can we talk about that?
Do you have any commentary, Ms. Rich?
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. We heard from personnel with the library board, and there was some discussion back and forth about did they even qualify. And it was left that lawyers would talk to lawyers, and I know the council got the opinion from our attorney that they do qualify. And I just wondered if the administration was now in another position to add and look at where that revenue would come from.
Hello?
About the library employees, since they do they can qualify.
So I think Leslie Ray is here. She's going to address part of that issue, and we can talk about the legal issues. And it's really more of I guess, a better explanation starting with Leslie.
Good morning.
Morning.
Good morning.
I had been asked to address whether or not, from HR perspective, if library employees were considered city employees. From a human resource perspective, these employees are not hired by the city. We have no control over who's hired, who's disciplined, who's hired. We can't set their pay. We can't change their job classifications. We have no control over them. Their employees report to their director, who reports to a board. They have their own policies. So there's no, the HR department with the city has no involvement with the library other than their employees participate in the city's health plan, but that's through a participation agreement, and that's not as a department of the city. They're their own agency under the Mobile County Merit System and their own agency through RSA.
Okay. Thank you. I appreciate that information, and I don't think the debate is, are they considered city employees? Is, do they qualify by letter of the law for being a service and a source of a outlet in our city that was considered vital during the pandemic? And the employees that put themselves in a position to come to work. And yes, it wasn't a directive of the mayor's office. Obviously, their directives do not come from the mayor's office, but they come from a community board, and the public library is a resource that, under the agreement that goes back 100 years, which, or more, has always been an outlet for our citizens. We don't do education, but it's the closest we come to education to contribute to the community. So just not arguing the point, are they considered city employees? Because if I read the opinion from our council, it was that the mayor is in a position to authorize the fact that they produced a service that was valuable or needed in the community. And I would represent it was one of the services that I got a lot of phone calls about, because I know I was in touch with the director to ask when they would be ready to allow citizens to have that outlet that they were used to. Thousands of citizens use our libraries, hundreds of thousands if you add it up. But I think the idea that the pushback will come that there are other groups that would expect the same thing, but I don't think there's anything quite like our public library. Its history with us. It is a nonprofit. They have a group that supports them, and that is a 501c3, Friends of the Library, and that's made up of more people than just the board that hires and works with the director. But again, it's interpretation and the authority of the mayor to say that they were provided a service that was needed in our community, and I would represent it was and is still, and would like to see them get that same premier bonus. Is that what it's considered, premier bonus? And again, if maybe the mayor wants to look upon it that they wouldn't get the same as like a police officer, but they did put themselves in harm's way, and we should look at giving them an understanding that we appreciated it as a community. And I just don't see any other group holding a candle to the library for what they do and how they've integrated with our community for so many, many years. And they do see themselves as city employees. The nuances obviously are debatable, but I think most people who walk in a library are proud to know that they are, you know, an outlet from our city, and we are the main source for the libraries within our city's jurisdiction. The amount that was quoted was for all employees. Not all employees work in city libraries, so they would not be included. They'd have to go see the county or the other municipalities where the library services, you know, given, and also the fact that there's some part-time employees, and looking at that, I believe it came under the amount that was quoted. But I can't stress enough on behalf of the citizens that I represent that rewarding the library personnel that went out of their way to come to work and to make it available was valuable and extremely needed from a psychological and a health standpoint, because it's a tremendous outlet for people. They do a huge service for all age groups. So, given my speech about it, and I'll continue to harp on it. Thank you.
Councilman Mance.
Yes, sir.
So just to restate, number one, Ms. Rich, we appreciate your advocacy for the library employees, and we certainly do understand the incredible service they offer our community. When we set out upon the ARP to define city employees, we did use the existing HR definition of a city employee, and then we looked at what exceptions to that definition would have to be because of other laws, such as Zogby. And that's how we based our decision. These other component units, not just the library, as we looked at it per your request, we also found that the other component units in which the city has a financial vested interest in, as these component units, include the Mobile Housing Board, the Mobile Area Water Service System, the Mobile Airport Authority, and the list just keeps going. And so if we modify the definition of a city employee, it really does open up the door to a lot of very essential services that are provided throughout the city and a lot of nonprofits that the city helps finance, to where we no longer can really identify exactly what that cost would be. I can tell you it will be in the millions of dollars just to deal with the ones I named, but there are many others. And so we're open to the dialogue, but I do want to caution the council that this is modifying this definition could really open the door to a lot more discussion than just the library employees.
I don't think that anyone assumes that an airport authority individual works for the city of Mobile. It's totally separate. MAWS totally has its own autonomy. Yes, we work with them, but we don't have anything to do with their day-to-day operations at all. The idea that for numerous years, the city looked upon library personnel as city employees, and getting into the nuances that you have, the housing board, I don't even know if they could apply for their own, COVID funding sources. I have no idea. I know that the mayor selects the board and is probably closer to that agency than my office, but the library service to me is a health and sound facility that really did go to every length to provide that service during COVID. And it's obviously philosophical. We can agree to disagree and be pleasant about it, but to me, the idea that you would take an agency like the library and say that they were like the airport authority. I mean, this is a free service that's offered to the community, and it's the only educational arm that we have. And it certainly does a lot, and especially for just every single age group, and anybody can walk in, but you have to have a ticket to go to the airport. It's totally different. So I don't think that's a good one. And the housing board, like I said, that's also very, anybody that can go to the airport can go to the library. Anybody that can go to, be in a HUD program can go to the library. So it's like you're separating them, but they're so integrated into the quality of life here. And everybody has access, and nobody is denied access. And it was important during our pandemic.
And again, we do appreciate your advocacy for the library. We did not take it lightly. We did explore that. There's a written opinion from the city attorney that's in all of y'all's inboxes this morning about.
I haven't seen it yet.
It's there. Well, I just checked with him, and so we've sent that to you. We just want the city council to be aware of what could possibly happen if you modify that definition of a city employee, but also the library. Keep in mind when you said that the airport authority and Mobile Housing Board act independently of the city, so does the library.
Right.
The monies are budgeted by the library, they're encumbered and expended by the library. We have no say-so in that. And so once you give money to the library, it is totally up to that board, which is appointed by the council. And so there is a relationship with the library that we do recognize, but we want you to be informed as you have this discussion. And also, what allocations are you wanting to draw money from, be it affordable housing, down payment, whatever that is. But that opinion is in your inbox for further discussion. And again, we're open to that discussion, but we do want you to be aware of the different component units that the city engages in, has a relationship with, that this could become an issue with.
Okay, I would hope not. I hope that people would see it totally unique and different. Again, I mean, I'm very vested in trying to make sure that this group is part of, the premier bonus for what they did during the pandemic. And at one point, I thought in listening to the administration last week, it was they just wouldn't qualify at all. So even if we reduce the argument that they're not considered city employees, they still have a spot to fit into the equation, according to our attorney. And I have not read the opinion from, I guess it's Mr. Burson. Do I have that correct? Or, oh, okay, I didn't know who you're relying on. Okay, and I have not seen that. But even if you just say, we agree with everybody, they're not true city employees, there is still a method and a means that they could qualify based on the interpretation of our council attorney. And maybe he needs to.
Could we, are you finished, Ms. Rich?
It's fine.
Yes, ma'am. Was there anything you wanted to offer, Mr. Woods? Why don't you, I know we got it in our emails, but could you briefly go over what it is you sent to us?
Glad to, Mr. President.
Yes, sir.
So ultimately, what you have is two different aspects working here. And as Chief Barber mentioned, the definition of city employee is what made our employees eligible. So we pulled out the actual HR definition. That definition is limited to only our city employees. That is the policy that we pushed out there. We would have to modify that definition in order to make these people eligible both under our definition and ARP. So what you're looking at is we're limiting this for a number of different reasons to just city employees. City employees only. So not malls, not the housing board, not the library, because those folks, although tied to the city, although appointed by you all with their board, they're not city employees from a legal standpoint because they don't work for this entity.
They work for the people of Mobile,
So now-
though.
Okay, any other commentary? Madam City Clerk.
08614, approved purchase order to Jason Pilger, Chrysler Dodge for Jeep SUV for police administration services. 08615, approved purchase order to Sunbelt Fire for fire coats and pants for the fire department. 09616, appropriate money in the Rebuild Alabama Special Revenue Fund for the Tiger Dr. MLK Avenue Broad Street project. 09617, reallocate monies from citywide signal innovation and assessment to CSX Bridge painting Broad Street.
Mr. President,
Mr. Richardson.
we allocated money for citywide signals improvement. And I have all sorts of issues with signals in District 1. I didn't intend for 1 cent of my money to go to paying a bridge. CSX ought to pay its own bridge. I'm not for 1 nickel of that money going toward paying a bridge. I don't care where the bridge is located. We need to contact CSX. Those people, they have plenty of money until they're going to paint the bridge. That's what we do for the railroad people. We tell them to come out and fix the railroad. I think we need to contact CSX, tell them the bridge is an eyesore, come down here and do something about that bridge. It's not our bridge. Those are our signal lights. I would like for this money to stay where it is and fix the signal lights out there. People complain about traffic backups. The first one thing, then the other, and we're going to reallocate the money to paint the bridge. I'm against that.
I have a question on that, if you're done.
Ms. Rich?
Who does maintain that bridge?
I think so. Did someone say no one? That's right.
Have we contacted?
Yes. They have no intention to paint it anytime soon.
But. Right, I get that.
I wouldn't care where it's the entrance to. I think we need to, go on.
No, I was gonna say, it's not ours to maintain. If we start painting, do we take over responsibility for it?
No, no,
Do they have an agreement that allows us to paint?
yes. And they have a specification that's
Or we're even going through hoops to make sure that it's
done to
what they
stay,
want. They don't.
that's right. So it's obviously, must be very common because they have a well-established procedure for how to do it.
Well, they're pretty smart. They're saving $400K. We could put that towards the library. It's really not, I mean, I can only have to keep my sense of humor, but,
The rail is.
I mean, what would we do to anyone else that had something in our right-of-way that didn't maintain it? Would we have authority to ask them to keep it up to a certain standard? What's the legal thing on that?
Well, I'm gonna flip to Ricardo, but this is a city bridge.
Okay, it is a city bridge.
Ricardo?
It's just, yeah, hold on, so I've got two different we probably need to wait on Nick or John to tell us that, just back and forth, because there's some disruption about whose it is and whose it isn't. Oh, I said we probably need to wait on Nick or John to tell us that, who actually owns it, because there's been some back and forth a number of years, so we've had differing opinions in the past, who actually owns it.
Okay, that would be good, because if someone gets hurt on the bridge painting, then it would be the city that would,
No. Those any contractor we would have their own liability insurance.
Yes, contractors have to, it's a standard part of our contract, they have to have workers' comp insurance for each and every one of our contracts.
do they clear that with whoever is the owner?
They don't necessarily
don't know
have
who
to.
the owner
Yeah,
is, right.
we don't have to do that, but all of our standing contracts have the workers' compensation clause. You have to cover that and liability insurance.
Mr. President, does a train travel over this bridge?
Train. Did you say train?
Yes.
Yes,
A train goes over the bridge.
yes.
The city built the bridge for the train to go over. Even if the city built this out of line, I haven't been in no train. We've been debating whether or not we was going to build a station for Amtrak. And we ain't arguing like, here we we're gonna spend $400,000 for CSX bridge that we don't use. Between 9 and 10:30, I will see all of the evidence you have showing that you have gone to every extent to get CSX to paint the bridge. If not, I said, lay it over, let me have a shot at it. I think CSX needs to come down here and paint their own bridge. I said, take the environmental court down there and let whoever claims that this bridge is in need of painting testify, and have the environmental court judge rule that they are out of compliance and send the order to CSX.
Get more information then.
21618, authorized contract with Youngblood Barrett Construction and Engineering for Fire Training Center Administration Classroom Building. 21619, authorized contract with Thompson Engineering for citywide bridge inspection. 21620, authorized contract with Doyle Associates for Mobile Sanger Theater mechanical upgrades. 23621, accept permanent drainage and temporary construction easements for the 2019 McRae Avenue Drainage Phase 2 project. 60622, proclaim July 8th as a day of remembrance for the captives and survivors of the slave ship Clotilda. Consent resolutions being introduced. 03627 and 628 are appointing Robbie Fitzgerald to the Ad hoc Animal Shelter Citizens Advisory Committee and reappointing Deborah White to the Solid Waste Disposal Authority. 31629, authorized grant application to the South Alabama Regional Planning Commission for Title III funding, $50,000, no match.
Can we get some more information on that one, please? The last one about the South Alabama Regional Planning Commission funding, 50K, no match. Just curious what it is for.
The SAIL program?
It's a grant to feed seniors, I believe.
Right, and what is it providing? Is it transportation, vehicle, or programming? Do we know? Meals?
It does provide transportation and in-kind services for seniors.
Do we know where the transportation is going? Is it a van? I know they've done that.
Yeah, generally, that's what they use. They use vans, generally. That's right.
Right, but there have been assigned vans to senior centers, and then they, get obsolete or whatever. So do we know where this van or vans are going? Do we know the placement?
Throughout the jurisdiction that encompasses, which Mobile and Mobile County encompasses the
Well,
largest
we
portion.
have a number of senior centers, so
You're
is
saying,
it going to be assigned?
do they go to the actual senior centers? Is that the question?
Well, I know in the past there have been, I'll use the Connie Hudson as an example. They had a van. They had two, as a matter of fact, in the very beginning, and then it was down to one, and I was wondering whether this one of these vans might be going, if that's what this is for.
I'd have to get that specific
Okay, I'd appreciate that.
detail, but yeah.
And I would like the same information on the Trixie Senior Center. Whether or not it has anything to do with the vans going to Trixie Senior Center. Okay.
$31,630, authorized fiscal year 2021 collaborative crisis response training program grant with U.S. Department of Justice, $150,000, no match. 31,600.
What is that one exactly?
If I'm not mistaken, that is an additional collaborative grant in reference to mental health.
For mental health services?
Yes.
Thank you.
31,631, authorized application to the Alabama Historical Commission's fiscal year 22 historic sites grant, $50,000, no match.
This one? Historic site grants.
Is there a question?
Yes, I'm curious.
What is the question, Ms. Richards?
What exactly is this for?
This is mostly geared towards funding and restoration of the historic Africatown Cemetery across from the future Welcome Center.
Okay, thank you.
37,632, recommend approval to the ABC Board for issuance of a restaurant retail liquor license for Rock the House Cafe on Government Street.
Okay, now.
In District 5.
Oh, no, Rock the House. 46,633, give the corner of Lafayette and Dolphin Streets the honorary designation of Becky Dickinson Way. 60,634, approve award of special bonus to the Employee of the Month for Parks and Recreation Department, Brenda Miller. For Public Works at Large Employee of the Month, Jeremy Jones. For Public Services Employee of the Month, Lawrence Radcliffe.
I have a question. What's the difference you're saying in Public Works at large? I mean, what at large mean with Public Works?
That refers to all the other departments other than Public Services and in Parks and Rec. So engineering, real estate asset management, Build Mobile, and our programs and project management divisions.
All right, thank you.
6637, determine an appropriation to Opportunity for Entertainers and Performing Arts, serves a public purpose and approved payment. 21647, authorized contract with John Donald Jr. for services as absentee election specialist. CIP resolutions being introduced. 01638, authorized agreement with the Alabama Department of Transportation for Airport Boulevard Congestion Management Hillcrest to Cody Road, $625,000. Resolutions being introduced for the first time, 08639, approved purchase order to CDW Government LLC for subscription for server virtualization software for MIT Department, $19,178.42. 08640, approved purchase order to Sunbelt Fire for 87 pairs of leather fire boots for the Fire Administration, $36,453. 09641, reallocate $245,000 from the Police Department operating account to the Capital Improvement Fund for the purchase of Microsoft software and to replace or repair the current target system at the Mobile Metro Firing Range. 21642, authorized contract with Lance Deliston for to provide tennis lesson and clinics for the Parks and Recreation Department, $40,000 per year. 47643, establish fair market value of property to be vacated at North Washington Avenue and North Dearborn Street. 47644, assent to the vacation of an alley located between North Washington Avenue and North Dearborn Street. 6645, approved settlement agreement and release of claims, Silcox. Call for public hearings, 414-646. Call for public hearing to consider vacation of Osprey Lane and Egret Crossing, scheduled September 14th. Announcements.
Any announcements from members of the council? Mr. Mayor, the announcements on your behalf of the administration.